Alright, this is a quick tutorial of Barenpark, a polyomino game that is pretty straightforward. Each of us have a park that we are trying to construct and fill with pieces, whether those are utility pieces, animal houses, or some of these larger animal enclosures. There are all kinds of ways to get points in the game, and there's somewhat of a race element, being that first one to get the specific points so you can get the highest number. So you will start out with a single square of a part of your park, and depending on your turn number, you'll get one of these green pieces as well. Now the main function of the game is when you lay down a piece onto your map, anything that you cover will get you more pieces for the most part. So if I take this little 2 block and lay it over this one and this one, then I'll get one of these pieces and one of these pieces. Now what are those pieces? Well, that's what this board is up here. So you can see these little pictures down here. These green ones, these are kind of these nice little filler pieces. A corner, a 3 square, a 2 square, and a 1 square. Anytime you see one of these wheelbarrows and you cover up one of those wheelbarrows, you get to pick one of those. These ones are the animal houses. There's 4 different shapes, and there's stacks of them. They go from 6 down to 2 in terms of point value. So you see that 6 on there. If you're the first one to take one of these, you get it. And you place it, you get 6 points. But underneath it, it's a 5-point one. This varies based on number of players. So for a 3-player game, it's 6 to 2. For a 4-player game, it's 7 to 1. And so this one, again, if you take the top one, it's 6. Underneath is 5, down to 2. These ones are one shots, and you only are able to get at most 4 of them in your turn. They're very big, they give you big points, and you have to cover up one of these construction sites to get those. Notice that you don't have one of those construction sites on your initial board, so actually you can only get 3 max. I'm sorry. The other symbol here, this little worker placement guy here, this means if you cover up that, then you get a new board. And these are the 2 stacks of boards that you can choose from. And then you get to put that board on any side of one of your current boards. And you can have up to 4 boards in the entire game. And then finally, this little symbol right here is a monument. You do not cover that symbol up. And in fact, when you cover up every square in the board except for that symbol, then you get to fill it with one of these little monuments. Notice how they go in decreasing order. So the first person to do it gets 14 points. The next person gets 13 and so on. So again, the first person to pick up these point ones, these different various point cards and tiles, get more points for them. Finally, you have goal cards. These are just 3 different goals, and they will have, similar to these tiles, the first person to get the goal gets the most points here, but underneath the second person gets fewer points and then fewer. I think it's, in this case, it's like 8, 5, and 2. I don't remember what these other numbers are. So this one is having 3 polar bear tiles. This one's having 6 connected green tiles. These are the green tiles. And this is having one of each of the animal houses. All right, a couple of other aspects that BGA does well with this game, and we'll see some of that, but you have the ability to play around with the view here over here, and you can zoom in and out. I've zoomed in a bit already. This lets you zoom in on these parks so you can kind of get a closer look. And then the supply, this lets you zoom in on the supply itself up on the top. You also can show the grids, so if you're like, how many is that across? Oh, that's 5 across. It'll show you that for you as well. All right, so the basic turn, each of you get to turn, you place one of your tiles from your supply, and then depending on what you have covered up, you get to draw more tiles from the supply. If you don't have any tiles from the supply, you don't place anything, but you get to, I believe, pick 2 of these green tiles as kind of way to fill back up. But really, you want to try to make sure that you're always replenishing that supply of tiles and always covering things up so that you can get new tiles and create a chain of those tiles. All right, so let's go to my first turn here. All right, so my first turn, I believe I don't remember what I did. Let's see what I did. Oh, it looks like I did. I did that, which gave me a way to cover up one of those, and that lets me pick one of these. And I think I picked, well, once you click that, sorry, let me get back here. I put this tile in, and now I have a bunch of options, right? So I can move it with these. I can also kind of see where it goes when I highlight it over. Note that I can't put it there because it would cover that, right? You can also rotate it either way, and you can also flip tiles. Now it doesn't really matter on this tile, but for some of these bigger ones, you may need to flip them to make them fit. So let's see. I think I actually, no, I don't quite remember. Yeah, that wasn't what I did. Let's see what I actually ended up doing. Oh. All right, so I put the tile over there, which lets me pick one of the animal houses. And I remember, and so it'll kind of highlight which ones you can. If there's none of these left, you can always pick a green one instead. But I picked this polar bear first. Well, of course it's not letting me know, but I know that's the one I picked first because I was going for this 3 polar bear move. See, there I took it. It is now in my supply and I can play it next turn. And I remember I put it, I believe, right here. I'm already trying to plan out the placing around this thing and then as quickly as I can so I can get one of those larger point monuments. And then after the end, you have lots of undo all and undo all types of things, and then you confirm the term. There's also this try mode. When you go to try mode, this just lets you like play around with all of those and try the different shapes within your map to see what would work. And nobody else can see it. So for the turn-based tournament, this is really nice to just kind of play around and see what will work, and then it won't take any effect and nobody else will see what you're doing. We can't really show that in this replay, but try it out if you're kind of having difficulty visualizing in your mind what those pieces will look like on your board. All right, I'm going to skip ahead to later in the game. All right, a couple of things to show you as we go. Notice I just got here, I have 4 boards, so that is the max size I can get. This player can put 1 more board, and this player has all 4 of theirs. Note that, again, you can place them adjacent to any of your current boards. Usually you kind of keep them close so that you can continue building your tiles. That's one thing I forgot to mention. When you place a tile, the first tile you can place anywhere. But every tile from that point you have to place adjacent to one of your current tiles. It has to be connected to one of your current tiles. So one tip is when you are putting a new tile here, notice when I put this one up here, I put this construction excavator pretty close to my other tile so I could get it quickly. Again, these are the most valuable tiles over here, and they take up the most room on your board, which is good. You want to fill those boards, and so the sooner you can get those new orange tiles, the better. And so when you're placing that, note where, like especially this one, but other things are in conjunction with the rest of your board so that you can get them quickly. Note I also just placed my 3rd polar bear enclosure, which got me the 8-point card for the goal there. And we'll continue moving on. See, note that these are removed as soon as they are taken, and there's only one of each of those, but these are getting lower. So there's only one more of these polar bear enclosures. There's the two there because everybody was going for this, obviously. And there's one more of these, and then three more of each of these. One other couple of things that BGA does that is nice is it shows a running score as you go through, which if you played the real Barenpark, the physical version, counting of the score at the very end is kind of cumbersome. So just seeing that and how you're doing along the way is really nice. It also shows the turn order. At the end of the game, you will finish out the round. So you will have enough, you will always have the same amount of turns. All right, let's skip towards that end of the game. Okay, so the last round has been triggered. You can see it shows you that this is the last turn, and that's because this player here has filled all four of their parks. You can see whenever you fill those parks, you get those little monuments in there. So they were the first player. No, they. Oh, sorry, I said that incorrectly. So they were the third player, but everybody still gets one more turn after that person fills their park. They don't end the game immediately, like in some games. So each of us, the other two players, get one more turn. As you can see, this person needed at least two more turns to fill in, and they didn't even quite have the pieces they needed for it, so they're not going to finish their park. That's okay. They almost won, even though they didn't finish their last park. The only downside of not finishing everything is you don't get that extra monument, which at the end is less points for sure. So it's not as important on that fourth one, but it's always a nice little bonus, and you'll be able to see in this game it came down to just a few points, and so it was important to fill every last bit. And then I only have one more piece to fill here, and I have the piece for it. Note that I'm not going to be using all of my pieces. They're just in your supply, so you can use them whenever you need to. But yeah, I will be once. All right, so then obviously I'm picking this, placing it in the park, and I will get. It shows you all. By the way, when you place something, it'll show you down here what you get, and then you can click the checkbox to say, all right, yep, that's what I want. Or you can click the place in park at the top, and then say what you want. All right. So I got that 4 on that last one. It said I can take an animal house. There aren't any available, so I can just take any of these. Notice that they have those red lines on them. And you can see these final scores, 97, 92, 96, and that ended up being the final scores there. So even though they didn't finish their whole park, they almost won. It was within 1 point because they were able to get all 3 of those gold tiles. So that was almost worth more than any of the monuments would be that were left around there. And that's it. Once everybody fills their turns, then the game ends and the points are totaled up. Hope that's helpful. Thanks.